Hey, this is Pastor Bunjee Garrett, and I want to take some time today to present you with another word of encouragement. Now, just in case you haven't heard already, you might be amazed to learn that the member of the Turkish parliament, the guy who recently suffered a heart attack during his anti-Israel speech, well, he just died in the Ankara City Hospital, which is located there in the capital city of Turkey. It was just this past Tuesday when 54-year-old Hasan Bitmez, he publicly presented his hatred for Israel as he spoke from a podium that included a placard that revealed his belief that Israelis are all murderers. And during his speech, well, he scolded Erdogan's ruling party for refusing to suspend trade with Israel. And he also rebuked the same party by declaring this, and I quote him here, "You allow ships to go to Israel and you shamelessly call it trade. You are Israel's accomplice. You have the blood of Palestinians on your hands. You are collaborators. You contribute to every bomb Israel drops on Gaza." Wow, this is stated despite the fact that Erdogan himself has condemned Israel on many occasions. And not only that, but he refers to Hamas terrorists as freedom fighters. Apparently, Erdogan's hatred of Israel is insufficient for Hasan Bitmez. And according to Bitmez, Israel must be destroyed for allegedly attempting to commit crimes against humanity, which apparently includes the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, which is strange because, up until 1948, Palestinian was actually just a term that was used for all of the people living there in the land of Israel, which included Syrians, Turks, Kurds, Berbers, Algerians, Moroccans, Tunisians, Nubians, Persians, Greeks, and yes, even the Jews who were already living there in the land of their inheritance prior to the official declaration of independence from the state of Israel. So then are we to believe that the state of Israel is now attempting to cleanse the land of this ethnically diverse group of people? Not only that, but listen, there was no such thing as a state of Palestine until November the 15th, 1988. That's when Yasser Arafat, who was at that point in time the chairman of the PLO, well, he decided to formally establish the state of Palestine there in 1988 by issuing the Palestinian Declaration of Independence. Up until that point in time, there was no such thing as the nation or the state of Palestine. There is no list of Palestinian kings that can be traced back to antiquity. There's no Palestinian language. There's no, Palestinian artifacts that can establish an ancient Palestinian people that has dwelt there in the land of Israel prior to the 19th century. Clearly, Bitmez's claim that Israel is engaging in the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, this is nothing more than Islamic propaganda. The fact is this: the state of Israel is defending themselves against the ongoing attacks of Arab jihadists who are actually occupying the land of Israel's inheritance. And it's sad to say that Hasan Bitmez, he found out the hard way as he ended his diatribe against Israel with a heart attack. As a matter of fact, it was last Tuesday when Bitmez concluded his passionate presentation with a warning to Israel and her supporters by declaring this, and I quote him here, "You will not escape the wrath of Allah. I salute you all." And with those words, he collapsed from a heart attack. Now, according to the reports, various members of Congress rushed to his aid, and there was a doctor who was present, and that doctor gave him first aid and performed a heart massage on him. And after that, he was sent to the hospital for further treatment. And while his heart resumed beating after the medical intervention, he ultimately succumbed to his cardiac condition this morning there in Turkey's Ankara City Hospital. Now listen, I don't rejoice in the death of this political leader who made himself the enemy of God. I certainly don't rejoice in the death of innocent civilians on either side of this conflict. And yet I must insist that those who are attempting to stop God from fulfilling his everlasting promise to Israel, well, they'll soon find themselves fighting a battle that they won't be able to win. And listen, this includes all of the nations who are now standing against Israel under the banner of the UN Security Council. Now, it was just 2 days ago, that was December the 12th, that's when the United Nations General Assembly, they voted together on a resolution which would call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Israel and Gaza. And while this vote is non-binding and doesn't carry the full force of international law, We must not fail to grasp the significance of the outcome of this vote, which resulted in 153 nations agreeing to call for an immediate ceasefire. 23 nations abstained from the vote, and then there were 10 who voted against the resolution, which includes the USA. Now, this resolution, it was actually drafted by Egypt, the Arab country that has repeatedly insisted that an exodus of their Arabic brothers there in the Gaza Strip, they wouldn't be allowed to enter Egypt as refugees. I guess Egypt has a different border policy than the Biden administration does, right? Anyway, this ceasefire resolution was drafted by leaders in Egypt as they sought to end this war, before the UN calls upon them to actually open their borders for Arabic refugees from Palestine. It was prior to this vote, though, when the United States and Austria, they both sought to include amendments to the resolution which would explicitly condemn the Hamas terror attacks that took place on October the 7th. And it's sad to say that those common sense amendments failed to achieve the requisite 2/3 majority, and so they were rejected from being included in the final text of the full resolution. To sum it up simply, there were 153 of the 193 countries that are members of the United Nations who are now pressuring Israel with this vote to end this war against Hamas, and this despite the fact that Hamas has yet to release all of the hostages that they kidnapped on October the 7th. And as we watch these nations gathering together in mass against Israel, we must not fail to remember the prophetic promise that the Lord revealed in Joel chapter 3. It's there in the beginning of this chapter. This is where the Lord declares, "For behold, in those days and at that time, when I bring back the captives of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them there on account of my people, my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They have also divided up my land. They have cast lots for my people, have given a boy as payment for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they may drink. Indeed, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the coasts of Philistia? Will you retaliate against me? But if you retaliate against me, swiftly and speedily I will return your retaliation upon your own head." Here in this prophecy, we find the Lord, he's describing these days when the Lord is going to bring his chosen people back into their land. And according to the Lord, those who divide the land and those who kidnap the people of Israel, they're going to end up being punished. And this punishment will stretch from Tyre and Sidon, where Hezbollah now attacks Israel from the north, all the way down to the coast of Philistia, where Hamas now attacks Israel from the Gaza Strip. Simply put, the Lord is going to punish those who attack Israel from the north all the way to the south. And listen, the nations who are pressuring Israel to end this war, they're eventually going to realize that the Lord will hold them accountable for the way that they tried to divide up the land with the so-called two-state solution. Listen, the Lord has already promised to punish those who are trying to divide the land of Israel. And with that being the case, the nations of the earth will do well to heed these warnings that the Lord has already presented in the end-time prophecies that we find in his holy word. And I like the way that the psalmist describes this here in Psalms chapter 2. It's there where he declares, "Be wise, O kings, be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are those who put their trust in him." Listen, rather than waging war against the anointed King of Kings, the leaders of this world would do well to simply submit to our Savior Jesus before the day of his wrath. And knowing that there is coming a day when the Lord will destroy the leaders who divided the land of Israel, I encourage every person to submit to the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way. Not only that, but I also encourage every Christian to stand with our Savior here in these last days. Let's stand with the Lord as he continues to restore the descendants of Israel back into the land of their everlasting inheritance. And let's proclaim the gospel of grace by preaching the good news of our Messiah so that Jew and Gentile alike might trust in Jesus Christ and be saved. And as we do, we can rejoice in knowing that he will help us to fight the the good fight of faith, and all for the glory of God.